Okay, it is a little bit after 8:30. Welcome to week number 5 of Drugs and Crime. As I told you before that this 6 weeks will go very, very fast. And so I have some information I'm going to be sharing with you tonight. And then I'm going to share a video with you tonight. And then give you a key phrase, and then I'm going to adjourn. So let's go ahead and just get started. Let's share my screen. As you can see, week 5 today, the week 5 lecture will be posted here along with weeks 1 through 4. And now let's look at the announcement for the week. In this week, week 5, drug-related criminal activity, public health perspective will be discussed. And you had to read chapters 9 of the textbook, which I provided to you copies of the PowerPoints. Then the activities, drug addiction, public health perspective, the video, Chasing the Dragon and Indicators of Youth Activity. Rather long video, so we're going to go right through this pretty fast because I want to spend most of the time with you going over this video. We talked about this last week. Discussion assignment, incarceration or treatment. The initial post is due tonight, or rather tomorrow night, and then the reply post due Saturday night. And then finally complete the course project, Heroin and Addiction, One Person's Journey, and then of course the quiz. And then you know my motto. And then you can see, looking at the course calendar, that we're winding up. You can see this is where we are now. Your reading assignment, of course, is in here. Your live lecture time is in here. And it says 9:30, but it should be 8:30. Let me fix that. 8:30 to 09:30. Okay. As well as next week's course is 8:30 to 9:30, or close to that. So you can see that your live lectures tonight, your initial post is due tomorrow night, your reply post Saturday, and then your course project and quiz. This will be your last written course project that you will do. And then notice what happens the following week. Monday, we'll do the live lecture, and then you will have that week, the course ends, and that will be with your final exam and then your key phrase, okay? So you see we wrap up a week from Friday. That's what I wanted to point out to you, okay? So let's look at the assignments for today. Again, I've encouraged you to use the Drugs and Crimes Guide. So your course project, Heroin and Addiction, One Person's Journey. This is the last part of the project. And for this course project, you're going to review your notes from watching the video, which I'm going to be showing in just a few minutes. And then conduct additional research to learn more about the unique challenges associated with opioid prescription painkillers. And then write a paper As usual, minimum of 3 pages, double space, dealing with each of these issues. You cannot complete this assignment without going through this video. That's why I cover it in the lecture. Again, be sure to rely on additional content beyond what you learned from the video. And then remember, please share your thoughts and observations of what you learned during the course project. Explain how you apply the knowledge in your career. That is also going to be included in your paper. 3 credible resources other than your text, as you should be familiar with. And then here is the rubric. And these are the requirements. The same thing I just talked about a few minutes ago, along with the same information that you had every week. And then finally, the same thing as far as your APA is concerned. For 40 points, due this Sunday, the 15th. Okay, and then your discussion, you're going to deal with incarceration or treatment, dealing with the facts that are included in this section here. And then finally, you have your quiz. This is a time quiz. This is the last of the quizzes. Next week, you will have your final exam. And then your live phrase that I will give you. And those are your assignments for the week. If you have any questions, you know what to do. Concerning your grading, I will be finishing up grading weeks 3 and week 4 in the next couple of days. And then, of course, week 5 at the end. Okay, so let's look at the lesson content. Drug addiction, a public health perspective, chasing the dragon, and then indicators of use activity. That's something that you'll be doing on your own. So we should be cognizant of the fact that we are in a epidemic area where there is serious problems dealing with public health, relating to how public health is now the direction that law enforcement is heading in terms of helping people. You'll see from what we share tonight with the video, and you'll also see what I provided to you, Senate Bill 3023, which Illinois has a law that deals, it's called the Community Law Enforcement Partnership for Deflection and Substance Use Disorder. And what it does is it gives the police ability to deal with the opioid crisis. And what it does is it encourages law enforcement leaders to set programs that deflect individuals who have overdosed or who have substance use problems from the criminal justice system. And what happens is, how does it work? Well, if a person turns themselves into the police rather than going to jail, the deflection program provides an option to connect the people with community-based use services that address their underlying substance use problems. And so I provided that for you this week when I submitted your PowerPoints. And you take a look, and you can do some research on Senate Bill 3023 and find out that this is one of the things that is involved. You're also going to discuss, consider a book that I have here in my hand, written by a man by the name of Tim Ryan, From Dope to Hope, who came to the Rasmussen College campus a few years ago, and he shares a story about how he went through some very serious losses in his life, from his son to he couldn't help to himself when he was hooked on drugs, and then he is now a substance abuse counselor. From Dope to Hope, A Man in Recovery by Tim Ryan. You can find this book if you Google it, or you can find it in Amazon. And so we do have a serious heroin and opioid addiction problem, and so law enforcement is beginning to recognize, of course, that the war on drugs, as we talked about before, is a losing venture. And so the key thing is that now they're working with, as I shared last week, the Narcan to help. And then it talks about in here, it says many police departments are looking beyond their traditional enforcement roles and taking on outreach initiatives. As in 2015, the chief of police of Massachusetts was so bothered by what he saw that on June 1st, 2015, the Angel program was launched, where people seeking help for opioid addiction were invited to go to the police department, which connected them with treatment services. That's the same exact program, kind of in a way, that I shared with you for Senate Bill 3023. And so it says those requesting help through the program, they're not charged with a criminal offense, even if they're in possession of drugs or paraphernalia, recognizing the fact, as I said early on in this course, that the key thing is to help these individuals rather than to incarcerate them, recognizing that it is a health issue and that is a health dilemma that we are dealing with. And so these are just some of the programs, but that's what 3023 is all about. So we're recognizing the fact that from the perspective of law enforcement, the public health issue, and that it is a public health issue, and law enforcement is beginning to recognize that. This you can take time to do on your own, these indicators. But now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my headset off. First of all, I'm going to take my video and stop it. And then I'm going to open up this video. It's rather lengthy, but you need to take time to look at it, listen to it in order to complete your final written assignment. Oh, that's right. This is not going to work from there. So let's go back. I forgot I got to go to the link. There we go. Excuse me. All right. So pay close attention to everything.
I didn't care. I didn't think about it. I just did it. Once we started getting high, it was done. She was 17 years old, and the only way I knew about it is that she was arrested. So I was smoking pot when I was 18, and Julian! You! Why you call me lame? I don't appreciate you.
Well, the video speaks for itself. It tells the story. It tells how deadly this heroin addiction is and how innocently people start down the path, spiraling downward and eventually costing them their lives. And so, as I said to you last week, when you see this video, Chasing the Dragon, and you see what the life of an opioid addict is, it's not glamorous. It's people have died and will continue to die, and it's heroin and the addiction that comes about is no joke. And so consider these questions. What are correlations between prescription drugs and opioid addiction? As we already know, is that prescription drugs start out, particularly if you abuse the prescription drugs, especially painkillers that can lead to your desire to take other sources for your pain, and eventually you become hooked, and then you find yourself in a state where many of these people are someone who never ever make it back. And then you see the ways that the people were hooked, many of them innocently. That first pill, as constantly being reminded, started you down that spiraling path toward addiction and possible death. Adversely affects the relationship that you have with your family, your friends, your community. And then the question, what did you learn about how fast someone can be addicted? It's really not that short of that long a period of time. It could happen really quick. How did the people in the film describe their routines? And you saw many things. Even the family that spent all that money to try to save their daughter's life, which ultimately resulted in nothing. They lost her, they lost their finances, they lost it all. The main reasons users switch from prescription painkillers to using heroin, pay attention to those that were in the video. And then the health consequences of opioid abuse discussed by persons in the video. So as I said before, it is a health issue. It is something that we take seriously. And so I'm going to encourage you as you complete this assignment to let it resonate in you. Remember, one day as a criminal justice professional, possibly corrections officer, but especially those in law enforcement and other first responders, you're going to come into contact with people who are like these people in the video. And they're going to need help from you. And you're going to need to recognize it. And I, again, thank God that they got Narcan. But I'm also thanking God that these programs, such as Senate Bill 3023, like the Angel program in Massachusetts, 2015, the drug program that Senate Bill 3023 is, came about in 2018. And it did make it to the books. And what it does is, again, it allows law enforcement officers to operate and help individuals, not just with the distribution of Naloxone, but it provides individuals with the ability to be able to go to a place that they'd run from, and that's a police officer, to get help for what has been labeled in this module, public health perspective, drug addiction. I said this early on That is a public health problem. And so I'm going to say good night to you. I'll see you guys next week. But the phrase I want to give you is SB 3023. That's the one I want you to give me. I'll say it one more time. S as in Sam, B as in boy, 3023. That's how you get your points. Give me the whole thing. I'm going to say good night to you, and I'll see you next week with the final lecture for this course. Have a good week.